Hey, welcome to Journey Strong. My name is Linda Page, and I'm so excited to share with you my very first Journey Strong interview. So without further ado, please enjoy this interview with none other than Garrett Wang.
So you're forcing your mom. So where is she in the rewatch with you? How far along
We
is she?
actually just watched about an hour ago. We finished Favorite Son. So
Oh my goodness.
yeah,
Okay. So then she knows you're doing this interview right now with me too,
she's in the
right?
room. She's working.
Okay, good, good. She's like, is that the actor that did Favorite Son? Oh my goodness. That's the actor. Actually, it's interesting because my friend, Dr. Mohammed Noor, he's the a biology professor from Duke University. He had me come to his spring break course, which is sort of just for the week. And what he would do is he would use Star Trek to help teach, his classes, his biology classes. So he showed Favorite Son. He showed Favorite Son to the class, and he had me hiding in his office, right? And then after he was done, he brings me in and goes, and by the way, here's the actor from the episode you just watched. And they're all like, what? So we talk about genetics and how, we talk about that episode and the science behind it. And it was pretty cool. So I did that twice for him.
Well, that sounds a lot more fun than IB bio.
Probably so. Probably
Sounds a lot
so.
better.
Yeah.
So what do you wish you could tell your middle high school self?
Okay. If I had a time machine, I can go back in time. I would tell my middle high school self, I would say, do not be so concerned about what other people think about you. And this is something I think all young people have this issue. And even into your 20s and 30s, you will still be thinking about what other people think about you. And not until you reach your 40s and 50s will you be, it really doesn't matter what other people think. It's only, the only thing that matters is your own mental health, your own, what your own business, take care of your business, take care of your own business. Don't be concerned about how other people view you, because that can really distract you from life. If you're so concerned about how other people think of what you've done or how you look or anything like that, it's a waste of time. Definitely.
Yeah, I think that's great advice. I wish it's so hard being a teenager. You really feel like that's all that matters.
Yes.
How am I being perceived by other people? It like consumes every decision you make. So I wish,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes. And a side note, I would also say that when you do start dating, um, heartbreak when you're young seems like it's the end of the world. It really does. And it's so funny because when I look back at the times when I was younger, how maybe I broke up with a girlfriend or whatever, a girlfriend broke up with me, and I was devastated. I mean, I was devastated. I just thought, life cannot continue. How can I get past this? And really, you hear that phrase, this too shall pass. And it's so true, because if you think about the things that are stressing you out as a middle schooler or a high schooler, you oftentimes, a great thing is sort of just take a pause before reacting and going crazy about something in front of your parents, in front of your friends. Just think about, is this going to bother me 1 week from now? Then you ask yourself, will this bother me a month from now? 1 year from now, will I really be worked up about this situation? And sometimes when you put it into that type of construct, you start realizing, oh gosh, yeah, you're right. Probably a week from now, I won't even be thinking about, I won't even remember that this happened. So sometimes you need to just hit the reset button a little bit and realize that any drama that you go through in middle school and high school, it's really nothing that you're going to remember later in life.
Yeah. And it's
Yeah.
also what you were saying before about what people think of you. It's also hard in this industry as
Oh yeah.
an actor, it's kind of sometimes what determines the course of your career. So it can be hard not to take those criticisms to heart.
Yes, definitely. And it's very easy to fall into that and start just living your life according to how people view you, or how people, or as an actor, for instance, they always say, don't read the reviews, in terms of, there's going to be, if you have a performance in a play or a TV show or whatever it may be, a film, there will be critical people that say, oh, I don't like this, and there's other people that'll say, oh, I love this about your work. So don't listen to the good things, don't listen to the bad things, just focus on your work, just get your work done, take care of your business. And this is, I've said this before, the TCB thing, I took martial arts when I was younger. My master was the same master that taught Elvis Presley, and our motto for the school was a TCB with a lightning bolt. And a lot of people have said that, oh, this is Elvis's doing. Like, he came up with that motto, because if you do research into Elvis, his private plane, on the back of his plane, that symbol is there. But that symbol is from the martial arts school that we both attended, and it stands for taking care of business. And I could add in there, take care of your business, don't worry about other people's business.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. So what is the best advice that anybody ever gave you?
I would probably have to say that the lesson of perspective is very important. And again, this really goes back to how middle schoolers and high schools think everything is the end of the world. And as bad as your situation may be in the current, in the present, if you're going through some major drama, there is guaranteed somebody in a far worse situation than you are. So that's the perspective that I'm talking about. Like, a lot of times, my perspective story has to do with, a good one would be when we were filming on Voyager. We were at Bronson Caves, so we were on location. So we were not in the sound stages. So we're kind of exposed to the elements, basically. We're outdoors. And it was such a hot day. I just remember this. It was boiling. And all the actors were complaining. We were like, oh, it's so hot. Bring us water. We need an umbrella. We need more shade. Can someone bring us a portable fan? Like, this is a kill. We're dying here. And I remember all the actors were kind of just grumbling. And then after about half an hour of just actors grumbling, the actor playing Neelix, Ethan Phillips, he had enough. He was like, shut up. All of you, shut up. None of you is wearing this. None of you has a mattress on top of your head. Like, it's 6 inches of foam on top of his head, right? So he says, none of you is wearing a mattress on top of your head. If you think you're hot, what do you think I'm dealing with? And we all looked at him. We were like, oh, yeah. And we all shut up after that. It was just, and okay, here's another one. I'll give you another story. When I was in high school, I was heading towards my final exam for a theater class, and I was on my motor scooter at UCLA, and a guy had run a stop sign, and I crashed into the front of his car, and I was taken to the emergency room because I didn't have a helmet on. No brain damage, no head trauma. It was I was wearing shorts. So when my scooter crashed into the front of this car, the front of my scooter just disintegrated, but the metal and the plastic it cut through my legs, my bare legs. So I was bleeding everywhere. Right. So I get to the hospital. I'm sitting in the emergency room, and it's cordoned off. So I'm in the center. There's a guy to my left. So I can't see him. There's a it's a partition. So there's a gentleman to the left, and there's somebody to the right. And the guy to the left, as soon as I was in there, all I could hear this guy doing was, he was like, oh, ow, oh, just obviously in pain.
Right.
And the doctors came in, and then I heard what happened to the guy. It was a doctor with a bunch of interns. And he says, well, this gentleman here, he was working with the power tool, and unfortunately, he severed one of his fingers off. So we have to reattach that. And the guy was like, "Oh my God!" Oh, and then they left him alone. He's just moaning. And then this even bigger procession of doctors and interns came over to the other guy, and they were like, "Sir, you feel nothing?" And then this guy answers with totally calm voice. He's like, "No, I'm fine." And so there's no pain whatsoever. You have you feel nothing at all, right? He's like, "No, I think I'm good." And then the doctor said what happened. This gentleman was using a chainsaw to cut a tree down. It had hit a certain part of the wood that was extremely hard, and the chainsaw bounced back, okay, and cut into his neck, so that he was almost a Pez dispenser. Okay. The minute they described that, what happened to that guy, the dude to my left, he just shut up. He was like, "Okay, I lost a finger. The guy left to me almost cut his whole head off. Okay, I'll be quiet." So perspective is a wonderful tool to help you deal with life and realize, hey, as bad as you think your situation is, guaranteed there's somebody in a way worse situation than you are. So yeah, these are pretty intense stories. That's an intense story, but it's still a story. It's a true story, and it did happen to me. So so I was fine, by the way. No, I didn't have to have surgery. I do still have a scar or two on my leg from that accident, but other than that, I'm okay.
You still have to take the theater final?
I did. What was crazy? I got there, and the teacher was so angry because I got there. It was 2 hours late, after going to the hospital. And she looked at me, and she was, and she looked down, and she saw all the bandages on my leg. She goes, "Oh," and I said, "I'm so sorry that I'm late." I said, I got into an accident, and I had to go to the hospital, and I'm sorry. And she says, "Everybody," she had me lay down in the middle of the class. She goes, "We are going to surround him with sound therapy. We're all going to sit here." And so they all surrounded me, and I'm lying there. And now I'm the center of attention. I was a little, I felt a little bad, but they all sat there and they bathed me in sound. So that was interesting.
That sounds like a theater class.
Yeah, that's a theater thing to do. Yeah, that wouldn't happen in your English class or any other class.
Okay, so what book or play or movie or TV show or anything do you wish that you were introduced to sooner in life?
Well, it's just okay. I will answer this in multiple parts. I'm going to say, first of all, TV show that I wish I could have seen earlier in life was Farscape. Farscape is a show that was filmed in Australia. So I think it's one of the few sci-fi shows that were filmed in Australia. And what I gotta say, first of all, it's a great show. But what's super cool is that whoever was the guest star alien of the week were usually cast amongst the local actors in Australia. So the main actors were cast from England and US, but most of the guest stars are from Australia. And it's just so funny to see someone in full alien makeup with a heavy Aussie accent going, "G'day, right, so this is my ship here. And so I came from the other quadrant there, my planet, the people from my planet." And you're sitting there going, wow, this is the best, because it's so funny. But the show itself is amazing. And I didn't watch it because I was filming Voyager, busy with that. And when I saw the previews for it, I thought, I don't know if I want to watch something that has a Muppet in it, because it has a Jim Henson animatronic kind of creature in there. And I thought, oh, this is going to be horrible. But it was amazing. And I only found it because I was moderating. I was the master of ceremonies for a convention in Germany, and I had to moderate a panel with the two main actors from that show. So I thought, I'll watch at least the first episode just so I know their characters. So I watched that. I go, oh, and I watched the next episode. Then I binge watched the entire series in one sitting. Basically, I watched everything. So that's one TV show that I wish I could have seen earlier. Yeah, there's a cool book called Mutant Message from Down Under. And that book is about a woman who travels to Australia, of all places. And look, there's a theme here. And she's a professor, and she thinks that she is going to receive an award for all the work she's done in terms of dealing with the Aboriginal people in Australia. So she's, oh, this is awesome. And I'm going to go to Australia, accept this award. But when she gets there, the people that pick her up take her to the wilderness. They don't even take her to a hotel, anything. They go, okay, we're dropping you off here, where she meets the tribe. And they're like, we're going to go on walkabout. So she spends like 3 months with these people. But it's a great book just to show you that, you don't need all the bells and whistles of modern day technology or anything like that. You can survive off the land. And sometimes you will find out more about yourself when you spend that much time in nature. So really, I mean, the lesson learned is everyone needs to spend time in nature. Everyone needs to take time to take off their shoes and their socks and walk on the grass, and feel nature, because this is what this is the universe's way of giving you like recharging your phone. You have to recharge yourself every now and then. And that's the only way to do it, is get into the ocean, walk on grass, walk in the sand, and feel it. So nature is the quickest way to heal yourself a lot of times. Okay. So that is, and there's another book. I don't remember the title of it, but I'll tell you basically the gist of that book. And this book is something that I really wish I had read when I was in high school. And it essentially tells you that everything bad that happens to people is really a precursor to something really amazing down the line. Okay. And this sort of kicks into the final question that you have as well. So, and what I'm trying to say is, the universal energy that surrounds everybody is always conspiring in your favor. The universal energy wants you to succeed, to do better. It's always trying to do things to help you. But so this book was basically saying, bad things are going to happen to people. You're going to deal with things that are not pleasant. And when it happens, you naturally feel like, oh, why is this happening to me? Why? I mean, I'm always, I always have bad luck. This kind of stuff always happens to me, and this is what I deserve, or whatever. This is that. But in reality, the payoff, sometimes it doesn't happen immediately. Like the good thing, the better thing that it sets you up for, it could happen months down the line. It could happen years down the line. But know that everything negative in this world is always there to set you up for something much better and much more rewarding down the line. And if you know this, if you feel this, if you believe this, then things that kind of like get other people down are not going to get you down, because you're going to know, oh, okay, so this is a hiccup. This is a little minor hurdle, and it's going to set me up for something amazing down the line.
I really, really like that.
Yeah, it's super cool.
Okay, so on that note, the last question is, what was your largest or most memorable struggle during your teenage years, and how did you overcome it?
Yeah. That struggle was racism. So going to my initial years in school, meaning kindergarten to grade 5 to 5th grade, was in Bermuda in a British private school. But then I went in the middle of 5th grade, we moved from Bermuda, and this is tough. Like any kids that have to change schools mid-year, it's horrible. It's the worst. It's sort of like, hi, I'm the new kid, and not the new kid at the beginning of the year. I'm the new kid in the middle of the year. All the cliques have already formed. Everybody's already got their friends, and now you're the odd person out, right? You're the third wheel, basically. So we moved from Bermuda to Memphis, Tennessee. And Memphis has a lot of cool things about the city that I could talk about. But the other thing is that Memphis is in the South, and the South has been known to be sometimes a little racist. And for me, it was on a daily basis. on a daily basis, someone would call me a racial epithet, a racial name. And this would be complete strangers. I could be walking down the street, and someone on the other side of the street would risk their life to cross across the street, not at a crosswalk. You'd hear, cars are honking, like, what are you doing? Just to come over to call me a name and then walk back to the other side. So this is the stuff that I dealt with. And at the time, and you're asking, how did I overcome it? Well, I didn't. I endured it. I endured 8 years of every day someone calling me a racial name. And it was so difficult. I mean, I remember my mom she actually came to school one day, unbeknownst to me, to talk to the principal. And that's every kid's fear, that their parent shows up, without telling them, to say, you need to take care. And you know what the principal said to my mom about all the teasing and the racial, racism? He said, boys will be boys, is all he said. So this is pretty bad for an educator, for someone who's the principal, to not dole out any type of punishment to these, jerk kids that felt that I was not on par with them, that I was a third class citizen, basically. And I wasn't deserving of being a human to these people. Right. So it was very painful, because coming from a Christian background, my mom, very religious, she kept saying, she would say things from the Bible. Just turn the other cheek. I'm like, oh, I want to use my martial arts right now. No, you don't do that. You turn the other cheek. I'm like, oh my goodness. And I dealt with it. But here's the crazy thing. And this is the prior conversation that I had about everything bad is there on purpose. It's there to set you up for something amazing. And that amazing thing was Star Trek Voyager. Because now, when I auditioned for Voyager, when I started auditioning for roles as an actor professionally, my number one motivation, my number one concern was, I want to play a non-stereotypical character. I want to play a character that is, a member of the team, one of the guys, not the outsider, not the immigrant, not the, and again, definitely, I said to them, I want Harry Kim to be Starfleet first, Asian second. I don't want him to go into the replicator in the mess hall and say, yeah, I'm going to order a bowl of kimchi, or I'm going to bowl of fried rice. I don't want that. I want him to be Starfleet first. But my whole idea of portraying a non-stereotypical character, that's what drove me. That was the one driving factor that I had, because of all the racism that I had faced all that 8 years, that I was so focused on just portraying a role that was non-stereotypical, so that maybe that role would exist, and people watching that in Memphis would go, oh, okay, yeah, he's one of the gang and he happens to be Asian. All right. And that maybe my younger cousins living in Memphis would not have to endure the racist attitude and comments that I did on a daily basis. I thought maybe this will help, the racism that is so clear in the South, that it will maybe heal it a little bit. And the majority of other actors starting out, their driving motivation is fame, fortune. I want to be rich and I want to be famous. Now, if you believe in universal energy or God, whatever, I don't think that energy really looks at that as a valid or a admirable trait or admirable drive to have, right? I think the universe frowns upon that. I think the universe sees that as a very trivial motivation. But for me, it wasn't about money. It wasn't about fame. It was about, I want to do my best to end racism in this country, or the world for that matter, right? And so because I had that overall driving motivation, it took, like I said, 8 years in Memphis of dealing with that, plus all the years at college in LA, and finally so it took a while for those negative comments and that negative part of my life to set me up for something much greater. And it was much further down the line than I expected. But boy, when it came in, it came in. Because if you think about it, I had no resume. I mean, I was a young up and coming actor without a lot of credits, and to book a role as a series regular and be on a show for 7 years, it's like winning the lottery. It really is. I mean, it's easier to become a member of an NFL or NBA or NHL team than it is to book a show that lasts for 7 years as a series regular. It is. It's just
that's like a cult franchise like Star Trek that already.
Yes, and it's exactly. Exactly. So so that's how all that craziness kind of set me up for something much greater, which was Trek, which is now what I'll be known for the rest of time. Everyone will know, this actor played Ensign Harry Kim on Voyager for 7 years. So this is the greatest accomplishment of my life at this point, is my contribution to Star Trek. And it continues now with Delta Flyers, like Robbie and I, and I mean, so many fans have been just jazzed to be able to, every Monday, they're like, another episode, we get to listen, yay. And frankly, with the way the world has been since 2020 dealing with COVID, this is a respite. This has been a respite. Delta Flyers is definitely, it's a sanctuary for a lot of people. They're like, oh, without you guys, we would have just, oh my goodness, I don't know what I would have done. I would have torn my hair out at home, staying at home and being shut down from being able to go anywhere. I'm so happy that you guys have done this podcast. And so we've received messages like that over and over again. So Trek continues to be a therapy or therapeutic for so many people. And I'm just really happy that we started this podcast and we're still doing it. Yeah.
I listened to it on my way to school.
Yeah. How did you first hear about it? How did you first hear about the podcast?
I'm pretty sure it was through Instagram.
Okay. Through Instagram. Okay. Yeah.
And then when I started rewatching it with my mom, rewatching the show with my mom, I would go back and listen to the episodes by myself. I haven't gotten her on board with Delta Flyers yet, but
okay. But you can eventually let her get in on it.
We're
all right. So then who did get you into watching Star Trek in the beginning? Who was it?
My dad, actually.
Your dad did. Okay.
So actually, the first episode of Star Trek I ever saw was an episode of Voyager. It was The Thaw. And okay. How old were you when you saw that? I was 6. So
were you totally traumatized by that? Was kind of traumatized. Yeah, that's a scary. Why would he?
There's a reason for it. He was rewatching it. He was retired at the time, so he was rewatching it. So I came home from school, and it just was the one he happened to be watching.
Oh, it just happened to. Okay.
He just happened to be on. So I only saw the last 10 minutes. That's where Janeway comes in and saves the day, and I just remember being like, she's the boss and she's telling everyone what to do, and she kind of liked me, and I kept asking him questions. He's like, you can't start with Voyager, you have to start with the original series. So I watched that for 6 years. I would just rewatch the original series, and then finally one day he was like, you have to watch The Next Generation, we have to move on. And I remember it was
so you watched this much of The Thaw and then no other Voyager episodes until way later?
Until I was 12. And then we watched we were on a really long plane ride, so my dad downloaded a bunch of Voyagers, so we watched that. And then from that point on, I haven't even moved on to Deep Space Nine.
Oh my god! So Voyager's your favorite?
Voyager.
Clearly,
yeah.
I mean, you can, and I always tell people, I mean, if you have kids, if you have a daughter, have the daughter watch Voyager. How can you not have your daughter watch Voyager? This is the best thing that you can do as a parent. Allow your daughter to watch a show where the woman calls all the shots. Because what does that do? Subconsciously, that works on your brain. Subconsciously, when you enter the working world, you're not going to settle for a crappy, mediocre job. You're going to, because Janeway wouldn't, and same thing, relationships. You're not going to settle for some guy of the moment, because Janeway wouldn't either. It's something that I think would really do wonders for every young lady out there. Any young lady from the age of, I'd say, 8 to 12, ideal time. Watch Voyager. You'll have a better job as an adult. You'll have a better husband because you're not going to stand for crap. You're not going to take it. So the bottom line is Voyager is the way. So and again, to have a female captain for so many years, and let's face it, Hollywood and most of society is male dominated, and there's still a lot of gender inequality out there. And when we did premiere in January of '95, we got hate mail. We got hate messages from people that were not Trek fans, I might add. These are people that were channel surfing, saw the pilot, and they were furious. And all the messages were the same. How dare you? How dare you allow a woman to be in command? It's like, oh my gosh, even in 1995, there's people that are so pissed off about that, they can't take it. So really, I'm just so lucky to be on, I would say, the most revolutionary, the most game-changing of all Star Trek series, which is Voyager. It's the most diverse cast as well, with the most different ethnic backgrounds. And then just having the female captain, that makes it, in my estimation, the best Trek because of that. To break that barrier, so important, especially in this day and age. You just gotta, you need to be able to have role models when you're growing up, and Janeway is a wonderful role model for all young ladies to aspire to. And I can't tell you how many women now that are in professions that are science related. They were young when they saw Voyager for the first time, and they decided to go into a science field because of Janeway. So, and again, that just makes me so happy when I hear about these. I hear about a lot of this from fans that come up to my table at a convention, and they're like, "Oh, I work for JPL right now, or I work for NASA, and the only reason why I work for that is because of Voyager." I'm like, "Okay, good to know. Good to know."
Garrett, thank you so much for your time and helping me kick off my Gold Award. Everybody, thank you for watching, and stay tuned because I have a lot more content coming your way. Live long and prosper and journey strong, and I will see you next time. Bye, friends.